When we evaluate, we are going to be substituting in a numerical value for a variable. So when it says evaluate, we're going to be able to come up with a numerical answer for our expression. Here we have 1 plus x cubed when x is -2. What that means is everywhere I see an x, I'm going to have to replace it with -2. So I think of it this way. I rewrite, instead of 1 plus x cubed, I rewrite my variable with parentheses. And then I raise it to the third power. And inside those parentheses, I'm going to replace with the x with a -2. And now I perform my order of operations. I have 1 plus -2 cubed is -8. 1 plus -8 is -7. Let's try another. We have 50 divided by 2 times t. 50 divided by 2 times t. Everywhere I see a t, I'm going to replace it with a 5. So I'm going to rewrite 50 divided by 2 times, and then I'm going to put parentheses in place of my variable. And inside those parentheses, I'm going to replace the variable with the numerical value that it's defined as, which in this case is 5. Now I'm going to perform my order of operations from left to right. I'm going to look for multiplication division. 50 divided by 2 is 25 times 5. 25 times 5 is 125. Now, some people might think that this answer is 5 because they might incorrectly multiply 2 times 5 and then divide. But remember, order of operations, multiplication, division, from left to right, not necessarily multiply before you divide. You're looking for either operation and working from left to right first. Here we have the opposite of x squared minus 3x when x is equal to -4. I'm going to rewrite this expression, replacing the x with parentheses. Now, in this case, the negative that's out front, this opposite is not attached to the exponent. So that would be the opposite, and we can think of it as -1. So you could think of this as a -1 times x squared, if that helps. -1 times parentheses squared minus 3 times parentheses. And then in place of these parentheses, in place of x, we're going to put a -4. And now I'm going to take -4 squared. So I've got -1 times -4 squared is 16. And then minus 3 times -4 is -12. And remember, when we have minus a negative or the opposite of a negative, that's a positive. So some of you might be going straight to this right here. So you might be going from this -3 times -4 and seeing +12. That's a good thing. Now from left to right, we've got multiplication, which is where we're going to get -16 from, and -16 plus 12 is -4. Here's one that looks similar, but this time the negative x is all attached to the square. So in this case, we're going to have parentheses negative, and then I'm going to have parentheses again for the x. Okay, so notice here, in place of this x, I put these parentheses. So these parentheses, because this can get confusing, these parentheses are these parentheses. So hopefully that color is helping. -5 and then parentheses for x. And then in place of x, we're going to put negative 3. So this is kind of a neat problem because on this one we have in the green parentheses, we've got the opposite of negative 3, which is positive 3. So I've got 3 raised to the second power. And then here's that negative 5 times negative 3 again. Negative 5 times negative 3 is positive 15. You can also think of this, if that was just a little bit too much for you, you can also think of this as that 3 squared minus 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. And you can just work your way up. The negative times the negative is where we're going to get that positive. Or the opposite of a negative is a positive. Lots of different ways to say that. 3 squared is 9, and 9 plus 15 is 24. And those are some examples with evaluating expressions.